A lot of people simply do not understand modern day protest culture. I know it's easy for the average person. You turn on your TV or you get on your phone or you get on TikTok and you see these videos of what appears to be, people who are really passionate about their cause, portraying themselves as some type of freedom fighter that's fighting for a just cause. But in reality, most of these protesters are LARPers. Do you know what a LARPer is? If not, Google is your friend. Matter of fact, I know that some people are too lazy to do their own research, so here is the definition. Now, to fully understand modern day protest culture, you have to have a grasp or a understanding of modern day pop culture. The reason it's so easy for people like me to spot a LARPer and call it out when I see it is because I have a lot of experience with these type of people. You see, I'm someone that's really into pop culture. I used to have booths at Comic Cons all around America. It's something that I've always been passionate about. But I watched as Comic Cons went from, smaller conventions where people who actually cared about pop culture, people who actually liked comic books and people who liked comic book movies, they would gather at these conventions and you would buy comics and action figures and this and that. But slowly but surely, over the past decade or so, that community was infiltrated. And what happens is undesirables, let's call them that, undesirables from every corner of our society, people who are left out, people who don't have friends, people who belong to certain communities, you see, they would attach themselves to these comic cons. And before you knew it, these comic conventions were no longer about comic books. No, it was about random e-sluts coming to comic cons half naked so they could take pictures of themselves half naked dressed as comic book characters that they can sell to random dweebs on their OnlyFans. Or then it became about furries, and furries infiltrated Comic-Con, and now instead of panels where they have comic creators talk to you all about their creations, they have panels to teach you how to make your own furry costume. So you see what happens is people from other communities, they attach themselves to certain things to become relevant. And that's why you see so many rainbow flags flying at these pro-Palestine protests. Now, when you think about it, it doesn't make sense at all, right? But it makes perfect sense when you understand that these are LARPers. Now, when I first walked into a comic convention and then I started seeing all of these people running around dressed as foxes pretending to be animals, it didn't make sense to me at first either, okay? But that's what happens. These undesirables, they come and they cling to certain movements or they cling to certain pre-established communities and groups. And oftentimes, these people do not care about what the cause is, or in my case at Comic-Con, they don't care about comics, or they don't care about Spider-Man and Batman and stuff like that. No, they cared about promoting their LGBTQIA plus agenda, or they cared about dressing like furries and being perverts, or they cared about dressing half naked so they can take selfies. But they all LARPed and pretended to be nerds who cared about comics. They infiltrated the community, they took it over, and eventually the community turned into a hollow shell of itself, and the weirdos, the undesirables, took over and turned it to an outlet to promote their propaganda. And that's what modern day protest culture is. The protests that you're seeing happen right now with all of this free Palestine stuff, 90% of the people out there don't care about Palestine. 99% of the people out there are woke white people who like to pretend to be Muslims. They LARP as freedom fighters fighting for minorities because in reality, they have some sort of guilt. Or they feel bad about themselves, or they're just, part of the current thing and they're infected by the woke mind virus. But I understand that for someone who's not familiar with these type of people, I understand why it's sometimes hard to spot. But if you look, and for some of you who may have not known this before this video, when you start looking around, you're going to start noticing it now. Once you notice it, you'll never look at things the same way again. And that's why I have certain opinions about certain protests that pop off in this country. It doesn't matter what the cause is. What matters are the people who are supposedly fighting for this cause. Because a lot of these protests start off as, oh, we're fighting for this, but in reality, there's some type of hidden motive behind it. They're not really fighting for Palestine. When you see all of these rainbow flags and these trans people out here protesting for Palestine, do you really think it's for Palestine? Do you really think they care about Palestinians? Do you think any of them could point to Gaza on a map or Israel or any of these places? No. They don't care about any of these people. They're here to promote their thing. But they understand that they have to infiltrate other outlets so they can promote their agenda from every corner of the earth, from every direction possible. So yeah, Gaza might be the popular thing right now, but when you tune into these protests, they want you seeing the rainbow flags. They want you seeing their other messaging as well. And to understand that most of the people out there, as I've explained, they're LARPers. A lot of them are LARPing. This is their fantasy. Okay, this is them like the people who put on night costumes and go have reenactments of war. This is what this is. They're LARPing as freedom fighters fighting against the government. They're out there taking selfies in their face mask and what have you. It's all absolutely ridiculous. And you notice how ridiculous it all is when you realize the motivations of the people who are there. Because like I said, it's easy for you from your telephone screen to get all hyped up when you see thousands of people out here marching, chanting the same thing. But it's kind of sad, right? It's really sad looking at these NPCs and how they download certain phrases and certain chants, and you can see the deadness behind their eyes as they're out there marching, chanting from the river to the sea. They don't even know what that means. But what matters to them is that they're seen. What matters to them is now they belong to some sort of community. As you know, to me, it's kind of sad knowing that a lot of people are sitting at home and they watch this stuff play out and they take it very seriously. They take these causes very seriously. And they don't realize that the people who are actually out here protesting don't take this stuff seriously at all. For them, this is nothing more than a role-playing game. This is them in real life playing a giant role-playing game. A few years ago, they were white allies fighting against the oppression of black people in America. Now, they're Muslim freedom fighters fighting for their homeland and the rights to their homeland. And in a few years, it will be something different. But if you're one of those people who are still taking these people seriously, and listen, I'm not talking about the cause, I'm talking about the people. If you're one of these people out here still taking these people seriously, then I have a perfect clip for you. Let's go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage.
On the logo, no debate. the genocide.
Biden, Biden, we can't wait.
Biden, Biden, we can't wait.
Till
Till we see you at the Hague.
Biden, we're not done.
Biden, Biden, we're not done.
The
The Intifada's just begun. Biden, Biden, we're not done. In our millions, in our billions. We are all Palestinians. In our millions, in our billions. In our millions, in our billions. We are all Palestinians. We are all Palestinians. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Palestine is almost free. Palestine is almost free. We don't want no truth.
Like I said, folks, LARPers, literal cosplayers. You know, there's thousands of people out there right now cosplaying Muslim freedom fighters. They got their hijabs on. White people, face wrapped like a freaking terrorist, like they're part of Al-Qaeda or Hamas, I guess. They are part of Hamas now. They are cosplayers, looking for a place to fit in, the undesirables all congregating together at these protests. And boy, oh boy, do they take it seriously. They take it so seriously that they showed up dressed as Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Out here, who would have ever thought that we would see Spider-Man out here at the Hamas Free Palestine protest surrounding the White House? Yet that's what we get, folks. Meanwhile, there's still people out here taking this stuff so seriously, believing that these people out here actually care about a single child that has had anything happen to them over in the Middle East. These people do not care. At the end of the day, it's a bunch of LARPers. And most of these people have hidden motives. There are other causes that are really bringing them out here. The LGBTQ stuff, they try to attach themselves to any and everything, okay? That's nothing new. But then you got a lot of people who are just anti-America. They don't care about Palestine. They're just anti-America. But if they have to pretend to care about Palestine to do their anti-American nonsense, then they will. Then you got a lot of people out here that just want to cause chaos. So if they got to care to pretend about black people, or they got to pretend to care about black people or pretend to care about Muslims, it doesn't matter who they got to pretend to care about, as long as they get to go out here and fight and do graffiti on statues and loot stores and what have you. That is modern day American protest culture. The protest of the past, people were fighting for real things and just causes. The protest of the present, even if you do have a just cause, no one is fighting for that cause. They're fighting for clicks on Instagram. They're fighting for followers on Twitter. They're fighting for, this, that. They're not fighting for Palestine at all. And like I said, we got people out here dressed as freaking Spider-Man in the mix, just showing you how unserious these people actually are. But for now, let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.